the Switch era of Nintendo is coming to an end here probably pretty soon. And honestly, that makes me really sad. And I want to talk to you guys about that sadness and kind of why it's there, and also, I guess, talk about just how I'm feeling about it overall. So, to give you guys a brief sort of history for me when it comes to Nintendo stuff, I really didn't grow up with a Nintendo. The main consoles that I had growing up was a PlayStation 1, which I believe was hand-me-down from my brother, and then a original Xbox that my brother and I shared, although it was in his room most of the time, so anyway, not important. But, like a lot of kids growing up in the early 2000s, I had multiple Game Boys, a Game Boy Color that I believe I got secondhand from my cousin, and then a Game Boy Advance, or a Game Boy Advance SP, gotta specify that I still have to this day. Unfortunately, I lost the Game Boy Color, but what are you gonna do? I also had a handful of DS's, because again, being a child in the early 2000s meant that Game Boys and DS's were like the big hot thing for everybody, you know? Everybody wanted a DS, especially. I remember the DS being huge, and I was so excited, and I really wanted one. It may not surprise you to know, I only really played Pokemon on them, and little else. Again, I was a young kid, so Pokemon was, like, crazy to me. I just loved it. You know, shout out to Diamond and Pearl and Emerald. Those are the best Pokemon games, in my opinion. Even though the Diamond and Pearl remakes weren't terribly good, but that's beside the point. In terms of, like, home consoles, my family didn't own one until the Wii, which probably doesn't surprise many of you, given what I was just talking about with the Game Boys and the DS's. You know, everybody back in 2006, 2007 wanted a Wii, you know. It was the big hot thing that everybody had to have, and that's probably why both my dad's family and my mom's family bought one. So I had one at my dad's house, and I had one at my mom's house. Everybody had one, and I remember my mom was really excited about the new Super Mario Bros. Game, new Super Mario Bros. Wii, because she grew up playing the NES, so she was, like, there for the original Mario. However, I mostly saw the Wii as, like, a Wii Sports or Wii Play machine. I had Rock Band for it, too, but, like, I didn't really explore the library much beyond the basic stuff, you know? I played Pokemon on my handhelds, I played Wii Sports and Wii Play, and a little bit of New Super Mario Bros. Wii on the Wii. But I didn't really do much other than that. My main console of choice at that time was the Xbox 360, and can you really blame me? You know, I was getting into Xbox Live for the first time with the original Modern Warfare 2. I was playing games like Halo 3, Halo Reach, you know, all of the Call of Duty games up till about Black Ops 2, obviously. That was when the series kind of fell off, but that's beside the point. The point I'm trying to make is that by the time the Wii U and the 3DS rolled around, I had completely moved on from Nintendo. You know, we're talking like, when exactly did the 3DS come out? Okay, yeah, so 2011 for the 3DS, and then the Wii U launched in 2013, I believe. But either way, by then, I was fully entrenched in Team Xbox. You know, 2011, I was still playing my 360. 2013, I unfortunately sold pretty much every 360 game I had and the console to buy an Xbox One and a copy of Titanfall 1. If you know anything about the Xbox One's launch and Titanfall 1's launch, you know how bad of a move that was. But I was still on board with the Xbox One and just Xbox in general, even though that ship was sinking fast and it was on fire. So, yeah, it probably doesn't come as a surprise that I really didn't pay much attention to the Switch when it launched in 2017. I was still, you know, into my hardcore Call of Duty and Halo phase, which I still kind of am. You know, I still play a lot of Call of Duty, as you can tell from this channel. and Halo 2. I haven't really posted. Well, no, I posted a lot of Halo when this channel started, but that's besides the point. Back then, it was almost exclusively Call of Duty and Halo. Like, I really didn't play anything else. But I was interested in the ideas that the Switch presented, and I had friends that were getting Switches. And, like, the idea of a hybrid handheld and home console was really unheard of back then. Like, I can't honestly think of anything that was, like, as commercially successful and available like the Switch was. And people were talking about it, you know? So, I don't know what that guy was driving, but it was loud. Anyway, so, yeah, the sort of hybrid design was really cool, and the fact that, like, the Joy-Cons could come off of the Switch itself was also super cool to me. I don't know why. Like, the idea that you could take the controllers off the side and then either use them as one big controller or two, like, smaller controllers, and... Ugh. I almost choked on my own spit. And you could turn them on their sides and use them as little controllers themselves. So it's like the console almost came packed with two controllers. I don't know, I thought that was so cool. It wasn't enough for me to be like, yeah, I'm gonna go out and buy one, but I thought it was cool, and it had piqued my interest, which is why, by the time 2020 rolled around, and everybody and their mom was stuck inside and talking about Animal Crossing New Horizon, I was intrigued. However, I also wanted to expand my horizons of games that I played, pun fully intended there. By this point, 2020, I was getting kind of sick of just playing first-person shooters all the time. And I think the release of Doom Eternal alongside Animal Crossing was really what sparked that. What really made me want to kind of get away from it. Not that Doom Eternal was bad. I love Doom Eternal. I've gone back and played it how many times at this point. And I think it's a phenomenal game. But I think at that point in my life, I was starting to be like, okay, I'm stuck inside, can't really do much but go to work and play video games and hang out with my girlfriend at the time. Point is, being stuck inside and being forced to play video games was, it really kind of opened me up to seeing that maybe I should expand my horizons a little bit. Plus, I found myself getting mad at games a lot because I was mostly playing Modern Warfare 2019 at the time. Warzone and stuff was huge around that time. And the whole SBMM thing was really getting to me. Even Halo at that point, like, I was not having a good time with online games. So I decided to try and expand my horizons. And my girlfriend at the time wanted to try Animal Crossing 2. So we went out and we tried to get our hands on a Switch. Which, again, back then they were really hard to get in early 2020. But I managed to buy one secondhand from a buddy of mine. And then I also had one that I bought on Best Buy, a Switch Lite that I bought on Best Buy's website when they restocked. I managed to get one, and I was very surprised that I got it. But alongside that, I bought 2 games. So my girlfriend at the time bought 2 games, and I bought 2 games. So we were going to kind of share them. And the games I bought were Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. Because to me, those were the 2 games that everybody talked about when it came to the Switch. Those were the biggest titles, and I felt like that was a good place to start. I had never played a 3D Mario up until that point, but I grew up playing 3D platformers. So I kind of knew that Odyssey was gonna be good, but Breath of the Wild was definitely a roll of the dice. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it or not, because a lot of people compared it to Skyrim, and I wasn't really sure how I felt about that. But I bought them, and then my girlfriend bought Animal Crossing, obviously because she really wanted to play it, and Mario Kart, just because it's a Nintendo console, you gotta buy Mario Kart. As I sort of anticipated, I loved Mario Odyssey, but Breath of the Wild was really the one that took me by surprise. I loved Breath of the Wild so much, especially because I thought I wasn't going to. So much so that I even put Breath of the Wild, or I would put Breath of the Wild in like a top 5 list of games for me. I just love Breath of the Wild so much, and I know I'm going to talk about it someday on the channel in more depth, but for now, I just gotta say, I absolutely love it, and I love Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom is was really good. Is really good. I don't know, whatever term you want to use for that. However, by the time late 2020 rolled around, I fell on hard times. My girlfriend and I had separated at this point. I was living on my own. We were still kind of in the midst of lockdown. And, yeah, it was a really tough time for me, man. It really was. I was depressed. I was anxious. I was trying to unalive myself, or felt like I wanted to unalive myself. So it was a tough time for me. And, I didn't really play my Switch for a lot of it, at least at the start, because all my memories of using my Switch were tied up with my ex. So it was like I didn't really want to play it because it kept reminding me of her. But eventually I had to move out of my apartment because I had gotten it with my ex and I couldn't really afford it on my own. And I remember specifically, I was like, well, what am I gonna do when they're showing my apartment to people? Like, I gotta go somewhere. I can't be in there while they're showing the place off. So I actually bought Resident Evil 4 on my Switch, and I would pack it up, drive to the gas station, get some snacks, and then park like a block away from my apartment. And it was almost like a stakeout. Like, I would sit in the car, I was playing Resident Evil 4 on my Switch, and eating my snacks, and I would just watch the apartment building, and I would wait to see till my landlord left and the people they were showing left. And that was when I really started to get back into the Switch. That was when I really started to use it again. I traded my Switch Lite for a full Switch, I guess you could call it. The Switch Lite didn't have detachable Joy-Cons. It couldn't go on the TV or whatever. So I bought a full Switch so that I could play Resident Evil on the TV. And, yeah, fast forward to now, and I'm a massive Nintendo fan who's looking forward to the next console. I am very much looking forward to it, but, it still saddens me to know that this era is ending, just because, this was where I got my start, and this era of games for me, I've just loved it, man. I've loved pretty much everything Nintendo has put out, first-party stuff, at least. I know third-party's been kind of wishy-washy because the Switch was even underpowered when it was released, but, I don't really care. I haven't played a lot of third-party games, but we'll get to that in a second. I want to focus right now on why I loved the Switch era, and that's basically just because it introduced me to two franchises that I am a huge fan of now, those series being Zelda and Metroid. I had played Zelda previously on my DS. My aunt had bought me a copy of Phantom Hourglass, but again, I was really just into Pokemon at that time, so I didn't really play Phantom Hourglass all that much, but Breath of the Wild turned me into a Zelda fan, and actually after playing Breath of the Wild, I would go on to play, I think I played Wind Waker first, and then I played Twilight Princess, and I've just been kind of taking my time with it from there. I can't really think of what other order I played after that. I've played Ocarina of Time, I started Majora's Mask, but whatever, that's beside the point. And then Metroid 2 was, Metroid Dread was the game that got me into Metroid. I had dabbled in the series before, like playing Super Metroid, but to me, Super Metroid just felt a little dated, and I didn't really know what was going on. So when I played Dread, and it was nice to be able to have 360-degree aiming, and like a very beautiful looking game. I think Dread is one of the best looking games on the Switch. It was just so easy for me to get into it. And now, like I said, I'm a massive fan of Metroid. I've played every game except the NES original, Prime 3, and I actually haven't beaten Super Metroid yet, so that's on the bucket list for sure. But another thing about the Switch era that I loved was Nintendo Switch Online. And I know, it's got its issues. It's really hard to play Switch games online because Nintendo's online infrastructure is like dinosaur level. Like, it does not work very well half the time. However, it did allow me to explore a catalog of retro games that I never played, and it helped me gain an appreciation for older titles as a result. So, when I first got my Switch, I think it was just NES and SNES, but I still went in and I still played, like I said, Super Metroid. I played A Link to the Past a little bit. I still haven't beaten that either, but I played it. Super Mario World, all that stuff. It was nice to try that stuff out, and I like I said, I started to gain an appreciation for older games. I started watching some YouTubers that covered retro games, and I just started to fall in love with it, and as a result, I started collecting games, I would say that I've sort of found Scott the Woz, one of my favorite YouTubers. I found him because I was becoming such a Nintendo fan that I found his videos naturally, and seeing him collecting games and everything, it made me sort of want to start doing that. So I started doing that, and I love it, man. I really do. I feel like I'm making up for lost time, finally getting all these older consoles and trying out all these older games. As a matter of fact, when I played Metroid Prime 1, I played it for the first time on a GameCube, and that was both really cool. It's cool to be able to say that, but it's also very frustrating, because Metroid Prime on the GameCube controls very poorly, I will say. But anyway, kind of getting back to the Switch and why I loved it so much. The handheld form factor really brought me back to my Game Boy days, and obviously it made being able to play anywhere just super comfortable and super fun. Obviously, I started out with a Switch Lite, so I only had handheld as an option, but even now, I still play my Switch OLED handheld. I've got one of those Split Pad Pro things. It's like the Zelda one. I probably have a picture or a video up of it right now so I can show you guys, but yeah, man, I love playing my Switch handheld, and I know a lot of people are saying, like, oh, I don't really play my Switch handheld anymore. I do. I still lay up in my bed and play games on it from time to time. I've been playing a lot of Mario Wonder like that, and it's just been so fun. It really does take me back to those Game Boy DS days of, the meme of, like, you're laying in bed and then your mom comes to check on you, so you stuff your DS under your pillow and pretend like you're sleeping until she goes away. Yeah, it's kind of like that vibe. But it's also just really comfortable to be able to lay back and play wherever you want, And yeah, I think I'm gonna hold on to and cherish my Switch probably for the rest of my life, just because of all the things I just talked about. It kind of kept me afloat at a time in my life when I was drowning, metaphorically speaking, and it introduced me to a whole world of games beyond just shoot, bang, bang, And so now that I'm a game collector, or at least a casual game collector, I'm definitely going to hold on to my Switch. I'm going to hold on to it for as long as it'll work, and I'm going to hold on to all my games that I have for as long as they work, because I just love it, man. I'm going to be like an old man sitting on his porch playing Metroid Dread still. All the kids are going to be walking by with their super duper Switch 390, whatever, I don't know. And I'll be sitting there with my old classic Switch just thumbing away, I do want to mention that even though I'm sad about the Switch era ending, I am still looking forward to whatever's coming next. And I really do hope that Nintendo's next console is going to be a hybrid like the Switch was, because that's like one of the best things for me, is being able to play it handheld and be able to take it anywhere and possibly be able to play it handheld at least. Sometimes I pack my Switch like, oh, maybe I'll have time to game, and then I just don't, but that's beside the point. I really do hope that Nintendo's next console is a hybrid, because being able to play my Switch on the TV or laid up in my bed, it was just perfect, man. It's so awesome. And I know some people want it to just be a home console, because, there's a whole discussion about graphical fidelity and resolution and blah, blah, blah. And while it would be awesome to be able to play my Switch 2, or whatever you want to call it, handheld in like 4K, I don't really need that. I'm not really a stickler for graphics or high resolutions. I mostly have my Switch to play Nintendo games, and I think a lot of people are kind of the same way, right? And Nintendo has always worked magic on their own hardware, they know it better than anyone else. All you have to do is look at Metroid Prime Remastered to see that. Well, I guess that was Retro Studios. maybe Mario Wonder or Odyssey even, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, whichever game you want to point at, you know. Nintendo knows their hardware better than anyone else, and they make beautiful looking games on their hardware, despite it being very underpowered compared to the likes of current other competitor consoles. I have no, that sentence fell apart on me. But, you know, if I really care about graphics and high resolution, I have a Series X. I can play, you know, Elden Ring at 4K on my Series X. I can play Call of Duty at 4K on my Series X. I think pretty much any game out there is 4K on the Series X. So it's like, if I really care and I really want to see a game that's super beautiful, I have an option for that. But if I want to kick back on my bed and just play some Zelda, or Mario, or Metroid, it's all right there. If I want to play an older game, like now that they've got Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, N64, if I want to kick back and play an older game, I can. If I want to play it on the TV, I can do that too. And that's why I love the Nintendo Switch so much, and why I'm sad that the Switch era is coming to an end. But I'm still looking forward to what's coming next. So, thank you all so much for watching, if indeed you have gotten this far. Let me know in the comments down below, do you have a Switch? Are you a fan of the Switch? How are you kind of feeling about it? About the era coming to an end? You know, tell me some of your fond memories of playing with your Switch, if you have one. I'd love to hear it. So, again, thank you so much for watching, and make sure you take care of yourself. Get plenty of rest, drink lots of water, all that good stuff, and I will see you all very soon. Peace!